pilot around cycle, when you wanted to see it, you'll display the image briefly here. If I click on this one, I need a mouse for that. It'll display image from the top camera. For troubleshooting, maybe it'll be. So I'm gonna send them home. I'll reset it first. They're at home. Now you may have seen this flashing acknowledge skipped hold. So, well, obviously there were no holes, so it was trying to install something. We supposedly missed some, but in reality, when I deliver these liners, sometimes they could be a big Chevy inside. It's more for the operator that you're not going to be able to start new cycle. It looks like it's ready until you clear it. You don't send one out. So let's say I'm going to do it a little bit backwards. I'm going to try to create a fault with the robot so we can connect the teach pendant to it. In the robot, you know, there's this hold to move to maintenance position. When you first power up the robots, there is a little initialization going on to the robot and the gripper. So it's not going to move right away. It looks like wanted to be touched twice because those grippers smart. They know the position and the force they apply.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, it's worth mentioning, if the gripper, if for some reason you faulted robot on the liner and you happen to be over their nuts, and if you cycle the power, and then you were going to try to move, the first thing that's going to do is it's going to try calibrate, open and close. Well, it didn't close completely, close on this one. So the next time it's going to go to pick it up, it's going to short stroke it or hit the neighboring nut, and it's because so you just force calibration again by either hitting E-stop or reset safety on it, which we'll do in a minute. So I'm gonna hopefully kill a couple more birds with one stone. One thing happens is that you might be stuck over the feature like faulted out, let's say here, and then you power up like it is powered up, and then you send home and it hits and falls. You reset, you try to go home, hits and falls. And something happened. It happened a few times. You went places we're not supposed to be. They're really easy to move. I'm not that big of a guy, right? So while the servo's down there, I can just gently grab it and move. If you move an inch or so, that's all you need to clear. We don't have a big problems here. And you didn't even fault it yet. I do want to fault it. Now I fault it. So the next thing could happen, you hit something and it created that kind of fault. It says safety mode violation. Yeah, I thought I was going to kill a couple of birds with one stone. I can't. So we'll do this one first. Oh, what the hell, we'll do another one. So let's say something else happened. There's another fault over here, or maybe you suspect there's more. Let's hook up the teach pendant. In the past, the guys, I know on second shift tried it, and then I had a heck of a time to get it back to run. The reason for it, you'll see, when I connect to it, it's going to see extra E-stop and it's going to freak out. It's going to say, hey, it doesn't belong over here. It's going to be asking you, go configure it, configure the robot, and if you've never done it, it's kind of hard to do it, right? So I'd suggest if you do, so there's a teach pendant, it's kind of on the bottom, but you can go by the feel and you'll find it eventually. Especially the bottom one, I don't think you want to lose it. Let me try to put it over.
If you don't have any hair around it, that's all shaved.
Because that it's a long day for me. There it is. So I've connected up and I've generated even a bigger problem issue. It says safety rope is moving when it's stop mode. There should be more. Actually, we are not seeing all of the messages yet. Not now. You could go to different modes, and I talked through one of the groups, and we talked ourselves out of it. It's not much you can do there, anyways. The best thing you could do, unless you guys train and certified by robots and know how to put a ticket in, if you come to that point, we can cross that bridge at that point. Like, what do you do next? But right now, speaking with the rest of the group, first and second shift, when there's a need to contact UR, they're going to ask the engineer to do it. And for him, it would be good to know the fault. So we'll just go to. There's some I/O which is kind of might be useful, but not much here. I think the biggest thing is in the log over here. A lot of times by default it'll display everything. You can just turn them off, all of the warnings and other stuff, and just show most critical that just happened. And then you could see what happened here. The last one was this guy here. I am surprised that I'm not seeing fault for this pendant. Probably going to be next one if I clear that one. So let's try that. Let's restart. See what happens. Then you could try to restart it. Oh, now it's saying another fault. Say, hey, each pendant is connected, but it's not configured. And that's the part that was giving the fault. But I think the main thing to connect this one is to look at the error log. See what else happened. Maybe it happened before you came over here, or happened a few times, and they reset it by maybe cycling power or through HMI, but it keeps happening. So that would be the thing to come, is to error log and take a snapshot of it or whatever, pass it on to the engineer in day shift, or say, hey, I'm done here. Something more serious than that you wanted to look up. You guys look up online to see what you can find about it. It's pretty easy to pull up the manual if you have an access. But that's kind of the gist of that. So in the past, it was not easy to do, and I think the second guy shift called me once. So we were pulling the system upon power up. Well, powering up, we disconnected and connected, kind of made the system believe that it's all okay. So right now, if you hook it up, take a look whatever you want. When you disconnect, there's a little two things you have to press to kind of pull it out, latch. And the default's still there, but because of the new software that I added this January, you could reset it from here. So that, by the way, you can, if you're not sure which one, you could press both of them. This will do a quick reset and probably nothing. That means I have to do the safety reset. This is going to be fairly quick. It's going to turn the robot off, disconnect it, reset it, but it's not going to go through the entire 2 minutes boot. It'll be ready. Now it's ready to be powered up.
So what's the difference of the protective stop?
The protective
It
stop,
does nothing. Glad you got it.
I just pressed it to show you that's not going to cause any harm. It's there for a reason. We'll get there in a second. So that's for the safety reset. If some faults are not really suggestive what it is, that's why I kind of point out both of them. That if you're not sure, it's like, oh shit, should I push that one? What if it's not dead? Then it goes in smoke. They will not cause harm if you push both of them. But so we resetted that. The next thing would be to do right now, the arm is off, not the controller. I'm gonna press reset and I'm gonna begin booting it up. The protective stop is for actual crash. If the safety is okay, there's nothing wrong with the safety. It went down and it hit something.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to. It's gonna generate protective stop. If the operator accidentally,
Too close.
yeah, there is a freezer, the full size side-by-side freezer. They're so long you could slightly mislocate it. The vision will guide the robot to find a hole, and it's gonna cross that boundary. it's gonna set protective fault. In the past, to get out of it, you had to power down, power back up, went home. And right now, it will say protective stop. It actually display over there, and that's that point. You don't even need to reset safety. You can just clear it by hitting the top, and at that point, you can send it home. You will, even though it's still out of the protective stop, but as long as you're moving to the right direction, you'll be okay.
You get out of it, yeah.
So that's those two. Any question about them? The reason I point them out, there's probably more to it, but over the course of last year and a little bit of this, we had most of the faults we had. Either something happened with the robots and it stopped or hit or whatever, or the camera led to do something. So hopefully we'll prevent some of the robot crashes by stopping robot movement right when a camera fails. Now, brought me the camera and cable. I mentioned all of the groups, and you guys need to know that too. Right? Inside of the box, there's says good use cable in the tin box, cable for the robot. So they cycle a lot, like I mentioned, and we've lost a few of them. And so we're trying to find the best cable that lasts longer. With Kian's vendor, we're trying 3 different cables. So this has different, all robotic cables, just a slightly different style. This has a one set. This one has original, which means the cable ends with R. The robot cable goes from the camera all the way to the controller.
Oh.
This one has extension. So you have a whip cord that ends right underneath the cable, and there's extension goes here.
Okay.
So we've been testing these for about now 3 months. If they last, this would be the probably choice we will go with.
What's the length that have they been lasting? Like a year?
I don't know. You rent them.
One of these guys?
Yes. So those are the cable that will connect. So like on number 1, as I mentioned, that's a continuous cable that go all the way down and finally connects here. On this one, because we are testing these new cables,
The extension one.
the one that goes to the robot is the bottom one.
Oh, okay.
That's extension, and it ends right like on this one. You can pull up. Take a look.
Oh. I didn't realize that was.
A thing.
There's a little hookup, so I mean you'd find it. I just tucked it in so it's not hanging.
Somebody thought the cable was bad. We can just quick plug it in down here, run it around the
You could, yes, you could plug it in. Yeah, that would be the way to troubleshoot. Exactly, you don't have to run it through. But I want to point out this. So here we have one type of sets of cable. There's 2 parts, right? Extension and a whipcord that. That one has original one single cable. That one has, the right has an original cable. The left has yet another new cable. We're testing actually 3 cable. They're all giving us free. We just want to run them to see which performs better. They're supposed to all do good, but the original ones had problems, so led us to try something else. Whichever one is a winner, we're gonna, currently at MRO, we stock just the original one single.
That was my next question. What do we supposed to replace?
And now, when you look at these, it's like, hell, I don't want to use the used cable. They're used because I wanted to test these, so they were really new. I just took them off to put these on test. So these were only like 1 month old at the most. So these are still good cable. There's 2 of them, so you could use them for testing. I suppose if you replace and have to run one continuous one, you may want to check it out as an old for a new one. But that's the reason for these ones. So figures like, why the hell did you say use cable, right?
All highway miles. Driven to church on Sunday.
So that's the story with the cable. I think second biggest problems that the guys had is the clamping and the sheets coming up. That one recently, and so we did have a so-called Econo clamp because it's such a high cycle clamp or robot. I had originally that program that the robot was tracking where it is, and if you turn that Econo mode on, you would not clamp it if it sees the vacuum, right? If it doesn't see the vacuum, it clamps. However, when you plug those filters on the bottom, you see them that they already have holes. When they get plugged up like this, it pulls the vacuum. It thinks it's yeah.
feedback.
And the reason they plug up, if you look at it, that's all cardboard, right? So and that's I was talking earlier, and working with the business engineers to figure out why we're still getting cardboard rather than those plastic tonnage. Because once we get the plastic tonnage only, that should pretty much go away. Tonnage on an increment. Like,
We're getting cardboard dunnage instead of plastic.
this is
I see.
almost every week I come in and I still find cardboard. That's where the dust comes from. They don't come from this.
Sure, we would have that problem.
So the PM will be still there. We're still going to need to do, but maybe manually rather than manually.
Yeah.
And then, but for now, just to make it that one, right?
Yeah, there's like 10 of them in there. So, yeah.
And then, like a day before yesterday, I came over here, and every box was cardboard. They still run them. So that default lamp, and I was saying is that currently it's off, and I put a password on it so nobody turns it on. It's on the manual screen. That thing, when it was on, it would clamp only when it's needed. But because of that dust, I'll leave them off right now. Right now,
I guess you don't need an eco mode.
I like the name of it, so I want to use it. No, I mean, if everything works properly, for 100 knots, it will only cycle 30 times rather than 100 times. That's a lot of cycle saving on a cylinder cycle. If you can help, but well, right now it's off. I don't want to screw with it. You guys seen the screen, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. When you load, one time I got called in because I think day shift operator, selected the model, whatever that was, and forgot to press transfer to PLC. So whatever is here, it just you could scroll through that stuff, and whatever the recipe is, whether by part, doesn't matter what you use, whatever you're familiar with, changes both of them. But the PLC still keeps the part. When you power down, this might be different too. The PLC will keep the part that's currently in it running. To transfer it, you just press on. Now it moved in, resets the timer, and you're done. So that's that. I/O still basic PLC. You can just watch here whatever, whether it's a safety or anything else to watch. On a manual screen, I threw those I/O as well over here. If you're troubleshooting table, maybe a switch is not working, that's why not cycling. Rather than going between two screens, you can just watch it right there. Same thing for vacuum. Turn it on, vacuum on switch, vacuum on switch. So the bottom is actual switch. Vacuum.
That's nice.
Clamp. If you want to just cycle it, I don't know. Maybe it's have a problem or whatever. That's just a momentary. There is fault history. We've created a few faults. Robot not ready.
What's that clamp do? It holds the paper down?
Yeah.
Only on that side though?
I tried to call, I'm sorry. I don't know.
It actually clamps kind of universally both sides.
So in the middle, but what about the outside? Is the outside not lift ever?
Now, we clamp one side, and you notice when it peels off, it peels away from it. So it works out.
As soon as I fucking message. Sorry, we got a call.
You guys need your help over there?
Well, no, I got a call, so I had him come go to it, but then they called me back and said it was good, but he still came.
We all got different areas. So
Yeah,
he's covering
I
his
see.
area.
Yeah, we're trying to cover and be here, and
We talked a little bit about robot. These are all internet bits. You can't really troubleshoot them, so I only put it in what's needed. So those are all Modbus protocol. But that's the robot handshake. So the way it's done, the robot doesn't have any disposition. When the robot grabs the knot, it's going to ask PLC, it's like, hey, where should I go? And PLC is going to give it a actual position, and then it goes. When it's finished installation, it's going to say, hey, tell me that you did the job, then I'll give you a new coordinate. So that handshake, you can see it here. In case something is not happening, it might be helpful. We talked about maintenance position grading again, maybe you want to check the plug, make sure it's connected properly, robot info may come useful, especially when you have three systems, right? You see M drop for each joint, temperature on each joint. In case they're faulting it out, you may not know what it's supposed to be, but if all of them running, you can compare them. If anything, you have a force of the and there's a little parameter here, just showing you collision prevention, so they don't collide. If you watch them run, they'll come close to one another to a point where the cameras could hit left and right robot. So the left will pause while right will finish the cycle and the left will continue. So some models have those pauses. There's no way around it. And then the UR control, I don't know if you would ever need it, so that needs login. Login is pretty simple. If I select technician, it's one, very fancy login. Turn these enable and then robot info. If I go from UR, confirm, and then you have some individual operation. You could slow it down. I don't know if you're maybe doing something you wanted to. You could pause it as well. Release the pause. Play doesn't really work well. It gets overwritten anyways. Speed pause is what sometimes I've used in the past. But do remember bringing them back on, because that collision prevention will be really apparent at that point, because one will be faster, the other one slower. They're always going to be out of sync. We intentionally start them from left to right as they install, so they don't have to fight one another. But if you slow them down, they're not going to do. But so that's that one. Log out automatically after like 5 minutes. You don't have to remember. Under engineering, like system parameters, there's a force that you need to install that nut, and time for wetting. That's more of a BU business. If they should never be changed, only when they change the adhesive on the bottom. They did it once already, so I put it in for them. But that's pretty much list of that. What's on the screen. It would have been nice if you guys had more problem with them, so that you'd have some questions.
Well, honestly, just you kind of solved the vision issue that we had with the lights, I believe. And then it's just make sure you get some fittings down here for when they break them on the back of the fixtures.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, I haven't had any issues down here.
I'll get those. I plan to have those lights, two on each side originally, but they've been working just fine without it. We got unlucky in that position. The light from that one hits this bar and creates a shadow. I can adjust the camera to pick up even in that darkness, but because of the contrast, one is darker, one is lighter. I said, screw it, I'm just gonna